Okay, everyone, welcome back to another mindset and confidence session. Today is all based around goal setting. So, how your goal setting will affect your confidence and how it stacks to either negatively affect your energy, your confidence, and how you react and act on a daily basis, or how it can propel you forward even on the days that you mightn't have too much energy. So, when I was about 14, 15, I started exploring all this goal setting stuff. Before that, I never really thought about it, but my ultimate goal was to have football as my full-time job, right? And I knew that from a very, very young age. That was my ultimate goal, maybe when I was around 8, 9, 10, right? That was a big thing for me that I always remember speaking when I was in school. It's like an average kid that would always speak this stuff out loud. And it comes back around now when we speak about our goal setting, because the ultimate goal was to be either a professional footballer or a professional coach. Didn't really want to do nothing else. Didn't really care about nothing else. But when I got to 14, 15, I said, right, I got to do this properly. I got to think about what's my ultimate goal? How am I going to get there? What's it going to feel like when I get there? And when I am there, is it really what I want? And I set a goal. I had a little diary just like this, right? So small little copybook, and I used to write down my goals. So my goal was to ultimately have football as my full-time job. Now, in the short term, what was the next step, the ultimate step that I could take in that moment, right? Because we can all say, right, go to a Premier League academy, but that's not realistic at the end of the day straight away for everyone. So the most realistic goal I could set was to play for the best team in my county, in my area. So for me, it was either sign for Cork City or sign for Cove. And at the time, signing for Cork City or Cove at under 17 level was the youngest age you could sign for them. So I signed when I was 15 for the under 17s with Cove. But that was a goal I had set when I was 14. Saying, right, I will play for Cove Ramblers or Cork City in the year, whatever year it was, when I was turning 15, right? So that was my ultimate goal at the time. So how was I going to get there? And I had to break all these different things down. So I was still playing in Macroom at my local club, and we had to figure out a way of, right, I may be probably one of the better players in my group, in my team, but when I go to this new level, am I going to be the best player there? You mightn't walk into these teams, it's not that easy. There might be whatever going on, there might be politics, there might be maybe you're not good enough. That might be a genuine factor as well in that current moment. There might be different things holding me back, there might be limiting beliefs in my mind. So I had to break it down, and what was I good at, what was I weak at? So was I struggling with my weak foot? Was I struggling with maybe a certain part of my game? Was it a defensive thing? Was it an attacking thing? Whatever that was, it was so important that I really was honest with myself in my abilities and where I'm currently at. Because if you're not really honest with yourself, then you are going to struggle, and you are going to probably be at that point where you will hold yourself back, and you're going to keep telling yourself, right, I am good at this, but maybe it needs a lot of work, but I'm going to ignore that because I want to do the nice stuff and I want to. But it is all ego at that point, right? So we want to go back to being really honest with ourselves. So if I'm really honest, what can I improve that's going to affect me and propel me towards my ultimate goal as quickly as possible, because you want to get there nice and early. So what I really struggled with was my left foot at the time, so my weaker foot. And I said, what can I do to have both feet as symmetrical as possible? So a goal I set was a daily goal of touching the ball. So I did this thing in my head that everyone's first touch at League of Ireland level was unbelievable. Okay, so I said, right, at professional football, they touched the ball so many times, right? And I had seen a video and they were speaking about 10,000 hours to mastery of any skill. So you gotta get 10,000 hours in. Now, there is an element to that where you can have 5, 6, 7,000 focused hours, and they're a lot more important than having 10,000 hours of nonsense. So I didn't really understand that at the time, but I thought it was pure volume, right? I'm going to get loads done. So was it realistic to get a couple of thousand reps of the ball straight away? Maybe not. Maybe on day one, when you're really motivated and when you're confident in achieving this goal, when you first set it, right, I'm going to go up and I'm going to work on my left foot, I'm going to kick it off the wall 8,000 times, and that's great and all, but on day two then you're resenting it and that. So I had to set a specific goal, right? A specific goal that I was going to be able to do every single day. So I started setting these daily goals, right? And you have to remember, confidence is built. So confidence is not something that you just have or don't have. It's something that you need to build and you need to stack over time. So what I done is I set a goal about touching the ball 1,000 times a day. So some days you will touch the ball more, other days you won't. You're going to have days where you're going to have to do other things. You have to be going out with your friends. You got to have some family time. You might have a tough day in school. So emotions always creep into this stuff, right? And you will have days where you'll have opportunities to do loads more. So I said, right, 1,000 touches a day is really, really achievable. So what can I do to break down 1,000 touches every single day? So maybe I can stack it across the day. So I break it down, everything was in hundreds. So a really simple one that I used to do, and anyone in the academy would have seen me speak about this at one point. So we do 100 touches on my right foot, so we do 100 juggles on my right foot only. So if I drop the ball at 20, if I drop the ball at 30, I pick the ball up and I will go again all the way until I got that 100. So I keep counting. Then I will replicate on my left foot. Then I might do something maybe with my knee, so I might touch the ball with my knee, so I keep it up with my knee 100 times on my right. Again, I will drop it as many times as I need, and then I will go the same with my left. I will different type of touch all the time. So it was 1,000 touches a day was my daily goal at 14 years of age, right? And then that could be maybe a pass off the wall. It could be a pass off, and I have this all in my diary, right? And this is stuff that I can release if people want to see it. If there was something in my game then that I felt like I was weak at, so I got really good at the juggling part. Because the juggling was all about my first touch, and I said, right, I'm getting good at this now, so I'm going to keep that going. But maybe I can use this touch, goal, target, whatever you want to call it, in different ways. So I started to look at my week then. So I had the daily target, then I started to look at my week. So my week was Monday through to Friday, and then I used to look at Saturday, Sunday a little bit different because you normally have a game on a Saturday or Sunday. So my week was normally Monday to Friday. So how was I looking at Monday to Friday? So I put a little topic on every day. So Monday might be the juggling, 1,000 touches, and then if I had team training on, I would still get this done regardless, right? If I had team training, if I was up with my friends, I might have maybe a different sport, whatever I was doing on the Monday. The Tuesday then I said, right, dribbling. What can I do in dribbling to get 1,000 touches in? So what I used to do is I used to pick a skill move. So I might do 100 step overs with my right foot, 100 step overs with my left foot. Then I do a reverse step over. So 100 on my right, 100 on my left. I might do a little move before you do that step over. So you're picking a topic, right? It might be a different kind of move. Then Wednesday might be passing. So Wednesday, you find the wall and you go pass off the wall, and there's 100 on the inside of the foot and the right foot, 100 on the left, then alternating feet. Then I will go laces, then we go a different kind of one in the air. Then I do one when I'm throwing the ball up in the air and then I'm controlling it. Then I'm playing a pass, something like that. It was always something. I might get a combination, I get creative with it. And again, this stuff taught me how to be a one-to-one coach. And I didn't even know it. This is at 14 years of age, guys. So Then Thursday will be something different. Thursday might be shooting even. You're getting 100 shots of a certain way. It might be free kicks, it might be a certain strike, it might be ball striking. It might be whatever it was. So I had something from Monday to Friday. Saturday and Sunday you normally have matches. So again, when you think about it, how many times are you going to touch the ball in a match? There's a lot less than what you are in training. You have a lot less opportunities to do it, but your Monday to Friday was an opportunity to get that done. Now, I was relentless in my approach. My approach, I would get my 1,000 touches and then I would have to do all my other stuff. So if I felt like I was behind in my fitness, I would still do my fitness work. If I was behind in my footwork, I would do my footwork. If I was behind on whatever I needed to do, I would find a way to get it done. And the thing about goal setting is you need to find a way, but your why has to be big enough. Now we'll do a different video on getting to our why, but your why has to be big enough. And it's so important that you just find a way. So look, you had days where I missed it. It wasn't perfect every day. I had days where I struggled and I thought, right, how am I going to get this done? I might have had a bad day in school and I thought, what am I going to do? You're late coming home from training. So I bought a tiny little football and it was a size 1 football, I think it was. And I said, right, if there's something that I can't get done, maybe outside in the yard, I would do it in the shed. I would even do it in my bedroom, right? I would find a way. I used to sneak away into a room away from my family because I used to think, what are they going to think about this absolute lunatic training non-stop? They tell you, go to bed, whatever you need to do, you probably should be going to sleep, and I would find a way to get it done before I went to bed because that would set me at ease. And I just go, right, another day done, and I'll tick the box. It is about stacking these wins, and if I miss today, I go, right, okay, but I'm going to hit it tomorrow now. But if I had a bad day where I felt like, right, I'm after missing a day, I would look back over my book and go, look, right, I'm after missing a day now because I'm sick, right? Life happens. For whatever reason, I'm injured. And I go, right, but I'm after stacking up all these days of doing it. Then maybe today is okay when I'm sick and I need to recover. Then I can listen to my body and now I can go and I can stack them up again. So over time you get these daily wins and your daily wins build into your weekly wins because I could be getting maybe 10,000 touches a week. Now, there was a lot of times where I was getting a lot more than that, and I was doing a lot more than that, but it was a simple, specific goal that I had. Now, what I didn't realise is when I turned 15 and I signed for Cove, we got this sports psychologist in, and he was doing his masters for his sports psychology degree, or so on, right? And the thing was all about setting micro goals, and I didn't even realise this was stuff that I was doing myself without even realising what it all was. And these little micro goals were about what you do before and after training, what you do on a daily basis, what you do on maybe a weekly basis, a monthly basis, and they all stack in, right? They were real specific. He was talking about SMART goals. So what are SMART goals? So SMART goals, the S stands for specific. So this is something really specific. So 1,000 touches a day, right? So that's self-explanatory. If it's something that you want to work on your speed, that's specific, okay? Or if it's your strength, that's specific. But it's not like, I want to be a professional footballer. We can all say that, you know? What do you actually want to work on? I want to work on my weak foot, that's specific. I want to, even more specific, I want to go work on striking the ball with my laces because I can strike it well with the inside of my foot, but I struggle with my laces on maybe my left foot or some type of strike or whatever it is. Free kicks, corners, all of that crack. So we can go real specific. M stands for measurable. So how measurable is it? So can you put a number on it? Can you put, like, if we look back over a week or month, is there a way of measuring it, or is it something that, you know, we can all say we played well on a Friday or Saturday or Sunday in our match, but what defines well? So what is your actual goal, and is it measurable? Can you put a number, or is there a way of tracking this? Can you report it? Could you build a report on this at the end of the month? Then with the A, it stands for attainable. So you have to be realistic with this stuff, right? So is it attainable? So is it something within reach at the moment? So I could say that I wanted to play in the Premier League, but it's not attainable when I'm 14, living in a town of Cork, right? It's not attainable in that moment. It's not attainable at 15 years of age. It might be down the line, but it's not attainable right now. So we have to be clever in the way we do that. Then the R stands for realistic. So is it realistic at that moment? And then it's time bound. So the T starts for time, the T stands for time bound. So what kind of timeline are we putting on ourselves? So is it 1,000 touches a day? Is it 1,000 touches an hour? 1,000 touches a week? Whatever it is. But I feel like that was a realistic one that I could set for myself that was going to improve me in my game and what I wanted to be, because I felt like I was a technical player. I felt like I could work hard and stuff like that. So that was all things that I felt like would benefit my game, because I thought, right, there's technical players out there, but they don't work as hard as me, so I could be relentless in my approach, and I'm going to get really technical, and it's something that I can build and develop, and that's all what my academy is built off. So those SMART goals are very, very important. Now, that sports psychologist spoke about what you do on a daily basis away from training. So your nutrition goals might be one. So are we hitting 80% whole foods? That was one that I used to think about. So I used to do a lot on gaining weight at the time, because I was a really skinny kid. I wanted to put on weight. So what I used to do, I used to set calorie goals all the time. And now I didn't really understand nutrition at the time, but it was a start. Now, looking back, it should have been just little goals. And when I got older and when I started training clients, we would just set targets, and those targets were similar to those SMART goals. So for me, when I was an older player and I was at Kerry, it was when I was at my leanest. So I got down to about 5.5% body fat, really lean. But what I found when I learned about my body, it was all around gluten. So gluten didn't really digest too well in my body. Now, you might be different, but it didn't digest too well in my body. So when I eliminated or cut down gluten in my day-to-day diet, then I felt much better. I also didn't have too much dairy, so I had minimal dairy. I'd only have a little bit of milk in my tea, and that was it. If I would have a cup of tea, but outside of that, I didn't have too much dairy, and then I was eating as much whole food as possible. And again, I was relentless in my approach, and that was a daily target that I hit. I had a target of eating a certain amount of eggs a day, limit the gluten, limit the dairy, and I had one or two other goals about eating fruit every day. And that was just something that I done all the time, and I enjoyed it, because over time you start to build confidence, and confidence comes with competence, because you feel like, right, after a while I'm able to do this. At the start it feels a little bit uncomfortable, but you're pushing it on and you start to enjoy it, and it's all great, okay? But again, that's a nutrition one. Now, the one that opened my mind was before training. So what are you doing in that window before training? So let's take a 7 o'clock training session. So training starts with your club, your local club, your professional club, whatever it is, starts at 7 o'clock. Now, you might arrive to training at 6:45. So you have this 15-minute window. When you arrive to the session, right, the footballs might be out, whatever it is. What can we do in that 15-minute window that's going to get us to our ultimate goal, right? So we can have a chat with our friends, our teammates, right? Brilliant, okay? 2 or 3 minutes of a chat. Makes me feel a little bit lighter, makes me feel relaxed. What can I do during that moment? Can I do a little pre-warm-up? Can I do some activation that I'm going to feel better in my session? I'm going to get more out of my session. Or can I work on something that I need to work on? So can I get some of my 1,000 touches done? Can I work on some headers? Can I work on maybe a little bit of crossing? Maybe a bit of passing? Maybe it's my first touch. You might pull one of your teammates, and this is something that I started to do. To pull my teammates, go, right, we're going to do a bit of crossing now before a session. So I just do a little bit of a warm-up. I just get down really early, But sometimes it's not always realistic. We were training in Cove, and I'm travelling from an hour away at times, and you're getting down, and you mightn't be always able to do it early. But if I was down early, I would make sure I get the most out of my window. Maybe it might be half an hour, and you're warm, and then you'll do your team warm up. Like, you feel nice and loose. We have a savage little session, but I started to pick up these little patterns that were in our session. So we might be working on team shape. You have to remember your coach is trying to manage the whole group, so you lose out on that individual aspect, and that's the whole reason why you're coming to the likes of me, because we got to work on the individual, right? We got to do the individual specific work that you got to do to achieve your ultimate goal. So that might be being the best player in your team this season. It might be improving. It might be going from getting 10 goals to 15 goals. It might be going from getting no goals to getting 5 goals, whatever it is across the season. It could be a defender, getting more clean sheets, whatever that is, right? That's specific to you. And we start to use that window. And then there's also a window after training that, right, we can get a little bit done. So maybe we can do, if I don't have the time to do loads at a time, then maybe we can break it down across the day. So you have loads of windows across the day. And again, it's about finding a way to get it done. What time in the morning do you wake up, right? We got to school at what time? 8 o'clock, half 8 to be there for 9 o'clock, depending on how far away. You might get a bus, you might be earlier, right? Can you get up earlier in the morning to get your goals done, to get your daily target done? Can you do something in the morning? Maybe you get up and it's just having a good meal before you go to school. Maybe it might be a good meal before you go to work if you're an older player with us. It might be something like that. What can you do in the morning? Maybe I need to get up earlier in the morning. That's something I used to do. I used to train every day before school. I used to walk to our local pitch. I used to do it in the dark. I used to bring a little lamp with me, and then eventually I had a friend of mine and we used to do some speed work in the morning. So I used to spend the morning working on speed. When the weather was really, really bad, sometimes I would go in my shed and I would do my 1,000 touches, or I would do a small space kind of a session, a ball mastery session. Then after school you have a window. So I used to either try and get my homework done as quick as possible, or I would train directly after school. Sometimes you're fighting against the sun because you're fighting against the daylight going away from you. So I had maybe 4 to maybe 5 o'clock when I finished school to go get training done as quickly as possible. I go get my individual session done, and then we might have team training in that evening. So some days I had 3 sessions within the day. Some days I didn't. I could be doing gym work. I could be doing something else. And I would find a way to get it done. And it's so important for you that maybe it opens your mind up that, right, what can I do and what am I doing with my time? And am I efficient with my time? Because don't get me wrong, there's times to just go out and spend time with your friends. But I was more confident than me, if I got my stuff done, then, right, I can go and enjoy it. And I'm not thinking about, right, I should have done this and I should have done that. And maybe it's too relentless at times, but then you need to find the balance. You need to find, right, how bad do I really want this goal? And do I really want this goal? And maybe I don't. And if I don't, then what do I want to do instead? And this is all stuff that you need to explore. And not everyone has to be as relentless as that, okay? But if we have a goal, what can we do to break it down? So I want you to set a couple of daily goals, right? Simple, specific daily goals. So it might be around your first touch. It might be around your speed training. It might be around your strength training. What can I do on a daily basis to achieve that goal? And is it measurable? And is it attainable? And is it realistic? Okay. The next thing is about match day, right? So these daily goals is brilliant. We can set our ultimate goal, brilliant. Now, around match day is what on an external basis we're judged off. Okay, so maybe you're judged by your manager, maybe you're judged by your peers on what you do on match day. Right, that's why we train at the end of the day, for our matches. Okay, that's our performance. Now, we call our business, our academy, Master Performance Academy, right? Now, I've just spoke about goal setting. Goal setting is about getting to that point of mastery, right? Self-mastery, it's a journey. It's something that you need to develop over time. It doesn't just happen. But this performance element, that's when we just go and we need to be free to express ourselves. So what can we do in our 90 minutes? Normally a game is 90 minutes. What can we do in that 90 minutes? But again, like I spoke about, what's a good game? What's a bad game? It's very, very broad. It's very general and it's not very specific. So what can we do to measure our good game or a bad game or whatever it is? So number one, we have the result of the team. So sometimes that's in our control. Is our goals in our control? So, or are our goals in our control, sorry. So maybe it was so one for me, I was playing as a fullback for a while. I was playing as a wing back, and the way we used to play in our system is I was like the winger, so we would go really narrow with their winger, and then as a fullback I would play really, really high, right? So not something you need to worry about now, but that was what we used to do. So my goal was to get 5 crosses in. It would start with 3 crosses, but 5 crosses in a match, 5 good crosses that would affect the game. It was out of my control whether we scored from those crosses or not, right? It was out of my control whether the striker would finish, and that was up to him to do his finishing work at training. But I would get 5 good crosses in a match. Then I would have to think about, right, what's in my control? Did we have much of the ball if I didn't hit my goal, right? My goal of my 5 crosses, did we have much of the ball, right? Maybe I need to set 1 or 2 other goals with it. Maybe it's not the only goal that I can set. So, right, I would set really, really simple, attainable goals, right? So, again, you have to remember, we need to stack these over time to build our confidence, and then we can go riskier and riskier and riskier, right? So, I would go, right, I need 1 header. I need 4 passes, 4 completed passes. I need 1 successful dribble, maybe 2 or 3 successful dribbles. Because you have to think, we might not have much of the ball. We might be defending a lot, right? We might go 1 clearance, then maybe 2 crosses. What can we do on a defensive element? If you're a striker, is how many shots did I get off? How many headers did I win? How many tackles did you get in? How many blocks did you get in as a defender? Maybe you're a keeper. How many saves did you make? How many corners did you collect? All of these different things that you can set in your goal that makes your match day measurable. And if you don't have a measurable match day, then we're just very broad. And when we look back at this stuff over time, we go, right, if you feel a certain way, if you have maybe a difficult couple of weeks, if you have a difficult couple of months, go, right, okay, maybe I need to look at my goals now again, and maybe I need to set different goals for my match day. Maybe I need to change my focus during the week, and you start to see a pattern over time, because it all is a pattern. If you're doing loads of work on your finishing, then maybe we need to work on something else. Maybe we need to work on some other part of our game, because I feel like I'm quite competent at that particular modality, but maybe it's something that we just spend a little bit less time on and we focus more on something else. Because at the end of the day, if we have something that we need to work on, we only have a bank of so much energy, and we need to be specific in what we do. Because if we're specific in what we do, we are a lot more clever in how we use our energy. Because if we're doing loads of everything, then if you think about, we start our day on Monday with 100% over here, and we do loads of everything. We do 5 sessions within the day. We're just going, right, I'm motivated now and I'm going to achieve my goal, right? And you do loads of training, and we're going from 100% to 100% all the way down to maybe finishing the day 15-20%. So you're wrecked. You go to bed and you might not have the best of sleeps, and now we're waking up when we're recovering on Tuesday and we might only have 80%. So there is an element to this where we have to be clever. If we're real specific, if we're measurable, right, how can I achieve my goal? Right, I can do my 1,000 touches, and I'm only going to spend this amount of energy. Right, I have team training on Monday, so I'm going to spend loads of energy here. But I might do a little bit of recovery. So that could be part of my specific goal. So I'm going to maybe do an ice bath, or maybe I'm going to do a sauna, or maybe I'm going to do some myofascial release or something like that, or I get a treatment from Cormac, and right, I'm going to spend a little bit of energy on that, but I'm going to have a good sleep now. I recover, and then the following day we might have a different goal. So Tuesday then we're going to work on dribbling, and we're going to be real specific in our approach there, right? We haven't spent too much energy today, so now we have a big bank for the following day. So now we're on Wednesday, and we're going to have a heavy day now again, and we're going to expend, we'll recover, and then maybe our following day we're only here, and I'm going to spend a little bit more time now again, but it's specific, so I don't have to spend too much energy and not waste the mental energy, and then I'm back again. But come match day, we're ready to go, and we're specific, and we've worked on it all week, and now I'm not worrying about what am I going to do if this scenario happens and whatever, right? These are simple things that you can do no matter what level you're playing at. Simple, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. And I want you all to do it. So have a think about what's your ultimate goal, what do you want to achieve, and really visualize it. I want you to close your eyes when you think about that ultimate goal. What will it look like? How will I feel when I get there? What does it look like around me? Who's going to be around me? Who am I going to be with? And then think about, right, okay, when I'm there, is this something that I really want? How would I feel when I get there? Is it something that I can picture? Can I create an image in my mind? Because the clearer the image in your mind, when we set our daily goals, go, right, I'm going to get there, and even if I have a bad day, if I have a bad match, go, right, no, but I'm going to get there, and even if I have a setback, no, I'm going to go, and you block out the external noise or tunnel vision. And when you take on advice, it's very important that the advice isn't coming from an emotion that is something like fear, is something like like anger, because it could be external for them now as well. Because if I was someone that went and told you to set a goal, but I'm telling you to set a goal, but be careful now, because if you set a goal too big, then you'll never achieve it, and you'll end up just with no confidence every day, and you're just going to end up quitting football. But it is important that you set that ultimate risky goal and have the shackles off. Who am I or anyone to tell you that you can't be a professional footballer? Who are they to tell you you can't achieve your goal, whatever that is, right? But we need to break it down to a timeline. What can we do now? What can we do tomorrow? What can we do the day after? What can we do in the next couple of weeks? How can I get closer to that ultimate big scary goal that someday I may achieve? And along the process, that goal may change a little bit. Okay, mine changed from playing to coaching. I found a love for coaching, and I wanted to go that route. I felt like it was right in my intuition. I felt it was right in my gut, and I followed it. And here I am today, and it is my full-time job. And I'm delighted that I went that route instead of the playing route, which I could have gone. And it was just my decision, and that was my ultimate goal. And when I look back at my ultimate goal, I did achieve my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal was to be full-time football, right? It was either to be a footballer or a coach, and I achieved it. And it was big and scary. And when I used to say it in school, my teachers even used to say, right, but what are you really going to do? What are you going to do in college? What are you going to do if it doesn't work out? And I go, right, but it will work out, because I'm going to do it, and I'm relentless in my approach. And if you want it bad enough and your why is strong enough, then you will achieve it, and you'll find a way. So have a think about those goals, guys. Are you setting an achievable, smart, specific daily goal, weekly goal? How can we break down our training sessions? What are you doing with your time either side of those training sessions? How are we recovering? And set that big, scary, ultimate goal, and we will get after it, because there's no point in doing this stuff for the sake of it. We want to do it, and we want to have fun with it. And who's to say that you can't achieve whatever you want to achieve? So I hope you've all enjoyed, guys, and you've taken some form of value from today's session. and I will see you all in the next one.